This episode is sponsored by The Dream Exit. The Dream Exit is a private, bespoke program for successful entrepreneurs with annual revenue between $5 million and $100 million who realize that they have one chance to get their dream exit right, and that the odds of realizing that dream by themselves, all alone, or at the last minute are stacked against them. In less than 90 days, we teach you how to design, build, and execute a customized dream exit playbook that gets your business ready for sale at its maximum value and gets you ready to maximize your meaning and purpose in your post-exit life, even if today you are not ready to sell. You see, dream exits just don't happen. They are the result of early, professional, and proven planning. So if you're an entrepreneur with annual sales between 5 and 100 million, and you want to learn how to 10x to 100x your chances of achieving the dream exit you deserve, go to dreamexitplaybook.com today. Hey everybody, and welcome to this Free Thinking Friday solo episode of the How Did It Happen podcast. I'm Mike, and I thank you for joining me today. On last week's episode, I talked to you about the dramatic impact that the shipping container, yes, the lowly shipping container, had and continues to have on the global economy and the world in so many ways. And I learned about that from a book called The Box by Mark Levinson, and you should definitely check that out. But anyway, that conversation led me to want to share with you a few ideas from another book that I read called The End of the World is Just the Beginning by Peter Zeihan, Z-E-I-H-A-N. Here is the cover of that book. There we go. The End of the World is Just the Beginning. Mapping the Collapse of Globalization is the subtitle. So I recently saw Peter live and in person at a YPO, Young Presidents Organization event in Milwaukee, where he was kind enough to sign my copy of the book. He's very happy to get that. As you can see, hopefully you can see Peter. So who is Peter? Well, Peter is a geopolitical expert, and to the extent that anyone predicting what will happen in the future is an expert, and that's, I understand, open to debate, he at least does it convincingly and with an abundance of what I will call flair. So you should consider following him on YouTube or getting his daily email video, as both are great ways to start your day. Like that I start my day with the video or the email. I think it's so while I'm eating my cereal, it's a great way to start my day with something you probably weren't thinking about, something I wasn't thinking about, and or could possibly impact our world and your world. The book, one of several that he's written, and it's a New York Times bestseller. And it's one of those books that got me thinking about so many things that I hadn't thought about before, or I didn't know, and that I feel way better informed and maybe a little smarter too, because I read it. And I think you might feel the same way. And I'm not going to try in this podcast to tackle everything in the book, because that would be impossible. And even if I did it, it wouldn't be half as good or authentic as what you would get out of reading the book, which I, again, highly recommend. But I will tee up a few things. One of the book's biggest themes is the United States Navy, specifically how the United States Navy is and has been kind of the de facto protector of the high seas since the end of World War II. This protection was brought about by an agreement called Bretton Woods. I think that's the right name for it. I know that's where it occurred, and so that's why they named it, as I recall. But anyway, Bretton Woods, wherein the U.S. essentially agreed to protect the world's oceans so that the countries devastated by World War II could rebuild their economies and be assured that they could ship their goods safely and reliably internationally. And that protection by the U.S. Navy, he argues, is coming to an end. And when it does, well, there will be consequences to free trade. Pirates, think rogue nation states, and think similar types of problematic things. So that's one main theme, the United States Navy. Very fascinating. I had no idea. Maybe you do. Another theme is demographics. So basically the making baby systems of some and many European and Southeastern Asian countries in particular. And they are not good. Now, many countries are not having babies at the replacement rate, which I believe is 2.1 children per family. And as a result, they will or already are very heavy, top loaded with old people and very light with young people. And for a lot of reasons, this is very bad for these countries' economies. Peter, in particular, is particularly bearish on China. And while many people, interestingly, are predicting that China will replace the United States as the number one global economy and global power in the next decade, he argues instead that China will essentially fall off a cliff in the next decade in both of those areas. And that's just a small taste of the book. If you want to learn more about the end of the world as we know it, which I think that was a REM song for those who remember back a little ways, and who Peter Zeihan thinks will be the world's winners and the world's losers over the next decades, read the book and then make your own conclusions. I'm not sure what he'll end up being right about or wrong about, and it'll probably be a mix. There's no way he's going to be right or wrong about everything, for sure. But like I said earlier, you and I are all about learning more, and this book is a great place to do just that. So thank you for joining me today. My goal is to provide you with value with each and every episode, and I hope I've accomplished that today. And I'm always interested in your thoughts, so feel free to reach out and let me know. And if you like this episode and you aren't following the podcast, please hit the follow button, share the episode, and, talk it up if you're inclined to do so. And if you are, I'd be very, very grateful. So until next time, hey everybody, thanks for listening to the show. And before you go, I just have 3 requests for you. 1, if you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing or following the podcast on whatever podcast platform you prefer. If you're really into it, leave me a review, write something nice about me, give me 5 stars or whatever you feel is most appropriate. Number 2, I've got a book. It's called Ownership: How Getting Selfish Got Me Unstuck. It's an Amazon bestseller. And I'd love for you to read it or listen to it on Audible or wherever else, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. You can get it everywhere. If you're looking for inspiration that will help you unlock your greatness and potential, order or download it today so that you can have your very own copy. And if you get it, please let me know what you think. Number 3, my newsletter. I do a newsletter every Thursday, and I talk about things that are interesting to me or I give more information about the podcast and the podcast guests that I've had and the experiences that I've had with them. You can sign up for the podcast today at my website, which is my name, MikeMalatesta.com. You do that right now, put in your email address, and you'll get the very next issue. The newsletter is short, thoughtful, and designed to inspire, activate, and maximize the greatness in you.